Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Kerry Lutz, and with Bill Powers, we are mining stock educators. Gerald Panneton is with us now. Gerald, your chairman, CEO of Terra Resource Corp. Your accomplishments in the mining industry are the stuff of legends, geologists, over 35 years experience. You're the driving force behind the incredible success of Detour Gold, raising millions of dollars to bring that mine online. And by no means are you finished yet, Gerald. You're going to tell us about Terra's latest developments and the resource estimate on the Con mine option, and basically how currently undervalued the company is. And hey, I guess the most recent drill results, which have been impressive. Gerald, welcome. Thanks for attending.
Thank you very much, Kerry and Bill, for having me on the Mining Education webinar. It's a pleasure to be with you guys today and be able to talk about our more recent development on the Yellowknife belt that Terra is very active. As we all know, we signed an agreement with Newmont about 2 years ago, and now we're basically going to be, talking about the result of our most recent update. After doing more than 20,000 meters of drilling on the Con mine, we're pleased to announce kind of like a measuring stick of our target of 2 million ounces that we have on the mine. People have to realize we only mainly touch the surface, from surface to 300 meters. There's still a lot of work to do, and we're going to be talking about that today, and we look forward to share the good news of this week and look forward for your questions. With all thing to say, I would like to go to the forward-looking statement of our presentation, and of course, cautionary statement as public disclosure, and this presentation can be found on our website as we speak. Not to talk a lot about the team. I always believe in team. I always believe that people bring the best. For example, Joe Campbell, who founded this company back in 2013 when he started to be involved in Yellowknife, is still with us, and there's a very good reason for that, because he still brings something to the table that is very important to the company. We also are very careful about costs. So for example, Mark Brown is our CFO, and we're doing very well with the financial. And of course, I brought my friend Louis Dion as a director. That is very, very important in our team, so we can be very active and have the right mining set to develop another mine. Louis and I have known each other for 25 years plus, since the Barrick Gold days. And of course, he was instrumental and very key person on the board of directors of Detour when we spent 8 years together at Detour, putting this wonderful company together from $100 million to $5 billion. Now, with all due respect, I'd like to talk about some of our value creation for shareholders. Since I joined in 2019, the company, we changed the name, of course. We also started to have 42-101 on a regular basis. Our property in the North Belt, in north of Yellowknife, has a nice 1.2 million ounces. We then did the Con mine, which I thought was a key acquisition in the can, because when you look at the Giant mine and the Con mine, it's 14 million ounces produced at more than 16 grams per ton gold, up to 22 grams at the Giant mine. So understanding the Campbell Shear, which is the plumbing system of Yellowknife, was very important, and Con mine was very important. We just basically signed the latest option or agreement to purchase the Con mine in November 2021. Of course, the drilling that we did in 2021 counted for this resource, and now we've done 22,500 meters on the Campbell Shear, and of course Mystical, which we're going to touch a little bit, another 6,000 meters. Our resource came out together, indicated 100,000 ounces and 432,000 ounces for a combined roughly 500,000 estimate. And of course, more drilling is planned, because as you can see in the presentation, we have quite a lot of work to do. At the same time, what I'd like to be able to do is show you the the presentation. And of course, when you look at the resource that we just published, it's maybe for people smaller than they thought it would be. You know, you can never know exactly, but we know that what we publish is conservative. We know that, you know, we did not expand the infer. I mean, the search radius is 50 meters. So you have to realize that we're not expecting to have that many ounces at first glance, but it tells us exactly where the ounces are. It tells us where to drill. And what's more important was about the grade. For instance, we could have used a much lower grade and get to 800,000 ounces together, but we prefer to have a 3.5 or 4 gram cutoff grade and have a better grade that we know will be mineable economically and we can make money out of it. So with all of this saying, you know, the importance of the con mine is listed here. I'm just not going to go over it. It's in our presentation. I'm going to more switch to what is the potential and what we can talk about. For example, don't forget that the 500,000 ounces indicated plus infer together are a good step forward in the right direction. We're telling you we've done 20,000 meters plus. It cost us $6 million of exploration dollars, and we find 500,000 ounces of gold that we had to re-drill because most of the drill hole was historical in the area. At the end of the day, it cost $12 an ounce. So it was a very cheap investment in our mind to outline 500,000 ounces. At the same time, part of the deal include what was left in reserve on the con mine. We will have to touch this historical resource in some area that we believe there's enough. And we believe that this will be a big contributor as well towards our minimum 1.5 million ounces that we're looking for. Now, moving on to the Campbell Shear. The Campbell Shear is the plumbing system of Yellowknife. You cannot ignore it. Their con shear is a bit of a smaller shear zone further in the hanging wall where 1 million ounces of gold was produced at 20 grams. It's still a contributing factor that could have an impact in the future. But we're concentrating on the Campbell Shear because this is where the mother lode can be done, and we'll see that in a few minutes. Again, just to show you the zone, the Campbell Shear, the width of the Campbell Shear that can be up to about 60, 80 meters in width, while the con shear, which is very similar to the crescent arm shear to the north, is only 2 to 5 meters in width, but very rich as well. Again, when you look at the 5 million ounces produced on the con mine, you can see very well what the impact is, and you can see the camp point to the south, as well as the Yellowknife deposit and also the Yellowknife North. And when you look at the potential that we have, here's the drilling we need to do. Basically, a lot of drilling needs to be done below the 300 meters, 400 meters vertical that we've done so far. So much is Yellowknife North. We put only one hole, hole 39, in the historic drill holes area, and we got 3 grams over 6 meters. For a lot of people, 3 grams of 6 meters is not enough. However, I can tell you this is a good sign the Campbell Shear is alive there. It just needs more drilling. What will be the drill spacing of all of that surface drilling? Probably down to 25 and 50, between 25 and 50 meters in some area. Good ounces, good control on the continuity. The zone in general are 200 to 300 meters in strike length, even in the mine. Some area are richer than others, of course, but at the same time, this is an easy target. This is not like are those guys looking for a target, or do they have a target? And it's well defined. The Campbell Shear is extremely easy to drill. Every time we drill it, we know exactly when we're going to hit the structure and how much gold we're going to hit within the structures. And at the same time, we want to go at depth. We want to go at depth, the main reason being that below the deposit, don't forget, we have an existing shaft built in the 70s that goes down to 6,200 feet. We can ramp down and reach another 1,000 to 2,000 feet of vertical drop, or more vertical, to go below 2,000 meters from the existing shaft, building a ramp access or a double ramp access and bringing everything up to the loading pocket of the shaft to mine below. And I can tell you, we will definitely looking forward, subject to financing, to go and test the depth potential at 2,000 meters next winter. And I think we'll have a very good success of following directly in the plunge of that 5 million ounces deposit. Don't forget, Archean deposit goes forever. They can be all the way to 3,000 meters if possible. That's a very key aspect of exploring in Archean belt, which are located in the Abitibi or very similarly in the Yellowknife belt. And at the same time, if you look at our resource, and I'm bringing this map to show you, these are not pinpoint along the long section, they're trace of the hole that have been drilled on the project. And as you can see, outside of the mine area, below 400 meters, there's been very little drilling. In the middle of the slide, you can see one of our hole, I think it's hole 37 that was drilled at depth around 1,000 meters, but we were off the plunge. So when you look at the next section, here's where we need to drill to increase our resource below Camp Point, below Yellow Rex, and of course below Yellow Rex North, and eventually also at depth like I showed on the previous slide. Great potential, we just need to drill. We just need to have the money to drill and a better price so we avoid dilution for our shareholders. Trust me, there's no question in my mind we can bring more than the 500,000 ounces we currently have. It's just a matter of more drilling. Now talking about the indicated resource of our project, which is about 110,000 ounces. It was done very, very conservatively. For every ore block, we need to have 2 holes in each block. So which is a step even further than what you would call a polygonal study, for example. It's a 9 inverse distance, 2 holes per block. And basically it's bring the project being very, very conservative, which means there could be more gold if we were just using 1 hole. But we wanted to use 2 holes just to make it even more conservative. The zone is very continuous between surface and about 300 meters vertical. We shut it down, but it could be just a pinch and it could reopen at depth. And that's one of our targets for next winter. At the same time, we published about a week ago, I'm not going to spend too much time, we established and confirmed that even if the Yellow Rex zone could be refractory, we have achieved 92% recovery using pressure oxidation autoclave to basically extract the gold from a flotation concentrate. Or we can also decide to sell the concentrate if the deal is better than building an autoclave. So we have option. This is just a first pass on the metallurgical test work, but it shows it works. So if people have a problem with refractory, don't ever forget that Gold Strike, all of Nevada below surface is refractory, or Pueblo Viejo. There's many examples of refractory ore. There's always a solution when there's enough gold to recover it. Now, moving into what we have just north, look at this map. This map is covering about a block of 10 kilometers by 20 kilometers of strike length. We have 4 deposits to the north: Samoto, Mispecol, Barney, Crestaron. About a year ago, we finished drilling Crestaron. Crestaron is still open to the north and to the south. It's a nice little deposit and may have some connection with Barney. So we're going to need to go back there eventually. But Crestaron is a 300,000 ounces gold deposit at 6 grams, open pitable from surface to 300 meters. That could be a very nice custom milling operation if we were to put the process mill or the processing facility near Crestaron. Samoto is a lower grade, 1.5 grams, but it shows you the potential of the company. Look, we're getting closer to 2 million ounces here. And Mispecol could have been updated following our drill program of last winter, which was very successful. Half of the hole were visible gold. And basically, with all of that gold we were able to outline, we're planning to go back to Mispecol next winter and eventually have a high-grade upgrade resources. Can Mispecol be as successful as the Campbell Shear? No. It's more of a satellite deposit, high-grade, probably underground too, but with a processing facility nearby at Crestaron could be a very good trucking situation where you bring all of that ore from underground. We're aiming at 10 gram gold again, and I think our resource will be updated next year following another drill program on Mispecol to add more. For example, one of the hole, and I'd like to show that to you on the next slide, is showing very well the Mispeckel drill program. We have outlined so far now 4 zones, 2 in the main zone, 1 in zone 14, and the Ryan zone to the north. The zone 14 only has 1 hole, but the beauty about that zone is that it's 32 grams over 3 meters, with 70 grams over meters that characterize the quartz veining, plus the walls, which are also anomalies in gold. So when you look at this, you can see very well the potential of developing another structure that maybe will yield 3, 4, 500,000 ounces, coupled with other Mispeckel, coupled with the Ryan zone. Maybe we're going to end up with something that could be 1 million ounces of high grade at the Mispeckel area. Time will tell. We just need to drill more. But if you're asking, are you looking for target? Do you know what you're doing? Are you exploring the right place? We are, because we know exactly what we need to drill, what are our prime target, and what are our secondary targets. And we're going to move this project along, and eventually we will have more than multi-million ounces of gold deposit in Yellowknife. And now, just to give you an example of hole 14, where the 30 gram, it's not that far from the Mispeckel 20 gram. There's barely 200 meters separating those 2 zones on a width basis. So they're not far apart. They can be easily developed underground and mining, and they're open in both directions. So we look forward to take the con mine further next winter, and of course, develop Mispeckel. And we know Crestorum is already, can be extended further south and further north, but not at depth because we did that work already. But we do have a project that could easily be one day a 200,000 ounces producer for years to come. Just time will tell. If the market was there, if the money was there, we will drill more and we will have answer faster than you think. Just think about the way I brought Detour from IPO to gold pour in 6 years. If the money is there, we will bring the project much faster. And we look forward to share news with you guys. And to finish, ESG, a lot of people are asking me, what do you think of ESG? Well, listen, I built 2 gold mines in Tanzania and 1 in Ontario, and I understand environmental, social aspect of any project as all of the developers that have developed mines around the world. We understand exactly what needs to be done to be fair with the community, to have a social engagement that respects every one of the stakeholder. And that's the most important. When you come to a place and you want to listen, you want to learn about Yellowknife, you sit down and listen to the demand of the people. You listen to the people that want to know what you're going to be doing. And they have expectation, they have reserved, they have question mark. You need to be there to work with them, all of those answers. So they are fully supportive of your project. With this, I'd like to give back the microphone to Kerry and Bill that probably has some question from you or from the attendants. And thank you very much for being there today.
Thank you, Gerald, for the presentation. We have some questions here, and please submit your questions in writing via the question or chat feature. Congratulations on the resource update. Do you, Gerald, think based on your past comments of 2 million ounces at 10 grams per ton, that people were disappointed with the results that fall short of these goals?
You know, you intersect a lot of result in Yellowknife, and your average good result are 10 to 14 grams and everything else. And then of course, the more you drill, the more sometimes you confirm your drilling and your intersections. Gold is a very, very interesting element in our periodic table. And when you see it in nature, the more you drill, the more you confirm. And I know for a fact that the more you're going to be drilling the deposit along the Campbell Shear, the more you're going to be able to define those lenses to be richer and mineable. At 8 grams, it's worth almost $500 per ton US. So we know it's economic. I am disappointed of being not at 10 grams. Yes, but at the same time, we've been very conservative with the model. And you can see in Yellowknife, there's a lot of drilling that has been done. But At the same time, we need to drill more at surface. Look at Yellowknife North. We hit 3 grams over 6 meters, but the resource is already at 7.4 gram with 111,000 ounces. So we just need to drill more. And that's part of the game. I mean, some projects, some people drill a lot of drilling to prove up their deposit depending on continuity. The Campbell Shear is very continuous. The gold lands within the Campbell Shear needs to be defined more. And that's our goal, is to define the lands and drill them to 25 meters spacing. And I think the grade will improve with that.
All right, next question. Are there any hints with this year's activity of a new high-grade zone like Yellowknife?
There is definitely a great potential, and I'm going to go back to the next slide. And if you want to look at the 5 million ounces mine, okay? The 5 million ounces as was mined on the con mine, because Giant is the top of the deposit, it was cut off, okay? You can see a lot of red and purple, and you see some yellow and some green. All of the green was not mine. What was mine is all the yellow, the red, and the purple. It's called a gram times thickness, okay? And you can see that anything that was something like yellow is like, I think it's 30 to 50 or something like that, or 30 to 90, I think. And red is 90 to 100 and over 100. So what you see there, which is red and purple, is 5 gram over 10 meters or 10 gram over 5 meters. So these are your high grade portion of the deposit. And we hit a good one in Yellowknife, and that's why we were able to have more than 100,000 ounces. In my mind, it's the Yellowknife is almost, 300,000 ounces at probably 8 to 10 grams. But it's a satellite zone. It's further south on the deposit, but it still can be very good. So what you see there is just a matter of drilling more to outline those high-grade shoots. And that becomes your biggest profitable area of the mine. Don't forget, the con mine was 15 grams average grade. So the green was not mine. It's all the yellow, the red, and the purple, which is basically, say, 6 gram over 5 meters and up.
So we have a question about the resource that was left behind. Previously, there has been mention of there being a 650,000 ounce left in the ground resource when they shut the con mine. When can we add that number to the total? Why was it left out of this update?
You have to realize that this is historical, okay? So according to disclosure ruling in 42101, I need to drill the area that I believe would be mineable. So for example, that 650,000 ounces is there. And my goal was always to get to 2 million ounces without it, because it becomes a bonus. You have to realize that drilling old resources that could be developed in the mine is a step further down the road. For me, if I was to spend time and money to try to outline those resources, we know some area, for example, that are very valuable for us, because there's an area where there's 200,000 ounces at about 12 gram gold in free milling area, not even refractory, below 1,000 meters elevation. So we know it's a very good area to go. But in full honesty, I would have to put the drill on a street in Yellowknife to drill it. So sometimes you have to deal. And I always felt that this 2 million ounces that I would like to find outside of the mine underground working, if I had another 600,000 ounces or 500,000 ounces, this will be a bonus. And I think we're all going to benefit from that, because it's something more. But I think before I take a liability of $8 million Canadian and buy the mine, it's too costly, to start drilling underground working. And I prefer to get the 2 million ounces outside of that environment. The 600 in my mind is just a bonus on top of it.
Gerald, what would be the cost of the ramp to reach that 2,000 meters below surface with drills?
Once drilling at depth below the mine will be expensive. We're talking about 2,000 meters hole at roughly close to $200. So you're looking at $500,000 a hole. But then from the master, you can wedge. So it's not that difficult to wedge from those depths. So the cost is not as expensive. You just need to have a very good master hole in the right place, and then you can wedge off, or Navi drill if you want. At the same time, you know, the cost of ramping, I think I just had a quote actually for ramping on Yellowknife, and I'm not sure exactly what it is, but a ramp is cheaper than sinking a shaft. Think about it. If I was reopening the mine, dewatering the shaft, and using the Robertson shaft to 6,200 feet, it will be much cheaper than to build a new shaft or sink a new shaft, like, for example, Alamos is doing on Island Lake. And Island Lake, they're currently sinking a 2,000 meter shaft, and I think it's bloody expensive. I think we're talking about $100 a meters $100,000 per meters. It used to be $10,000 per meters, but costs have gone up very quickly. So sinking a shaft in today's will cost a lot more than $100 million to sink a new shaft. Ramping is much cheaper. It's like drifting at a cost of about $6,000 a meters, and you just go in a ramp with a certain angle. And the ratio usually per vertical meters is that for every 100 meters of vertical depth, you will need to develop approximately 700 meters of ramping. And it will take, of course, you can only do 3 meters a day, but it's much easier because you have bigger equipment. And because the grizzly and the loading pocket is already set up for the shaft. So instead of sinking a shaft, which means that if you sink the shaft, it will be difficult to use the shaft every time you blast and stuff like that. So a ramp puts you away from the shaft, and it's a much better option. I don't have the detail. Of course, it will be part of my target is to find 2 million ounces first, and then I can talk about. But there's definitely a lot of saving, and actually, kudos to the Australian mining guys in Australia. That's who they showed us, and we did that actually at Bousquet in Quebec. Instead of deepening the shaft to go deeper, we sank a ramp, and it was way much cheaper. So we know it is a better avenue.
Gerald, we have multiple questions about the depressed value of Gold Terra stock currently and how you're going to access capital in a non-dilutive way.
Well, I've been not taking vacation over the last, I think 6-9 months. And if everybody goes on Bloomberg, you can see that I put my own money. I don't have any stock option, and I'm at 6 million share. And of course, I care about dilution more than anybody else. That's why I don't do warrants, for example, because once people will recognize that investing in Gold Terra, it's like investing and buying an option for gold at $10 an ounce. We will have a better return. The market is the market for a lot of people. Unfortunately, we've gone through a very bad period of time over the last 3 to 5 months, 6 months. Look at the stock of Newmont was $80 in March, $82 in March, and now it's $42. It lost half of its value. I know, of course, we kind of lost about maybe 40%, 50% of our value in the last 3-4 months. We have to adapt to markets, and I don't like dilution. So if I want to raise $10 million before Christmas, I'm not going to hurt the shareholders' value. I am one of you guys. I feel the same pain. So I'm not going to be interested in raising money in a bad situation for a very cheap price. I'm hoping that people will start looking at the value of Gold Terra at an option for gold for $10 in a safe environment. Everybody goes home at night. We're in town. We don't have to worry about securing drill costs. Remember when I joined, I brought the drilling costs from $300 to $200 a meters. And the main reason why I was able to do that is that I let go the consultant that was doing all the work, because we were paying consultant to do it, GeoVector, and also cut back on helicopter because those guys were drilling with helicopter all the time. It was mismanaged on that part. So we can do drilling for all in for $200 a meter in Yellowknife. Everybody goes home at night. Look at what we did. $12 an ounce, 500,000 ounces. We had to reconfirm those zones. But the thing is that the zones are there. They're very rich. They're close to 10 grams all the time. We just need to drill more. And of course, if I had my way and the stock was $2 and I could raise as much money as I could, I would have the 2 million ounces by the end of 2023. So there's a trade-off here. You don't want to stop drilling and you want to get your answer.
Okay, next question. How many meters do you hope to drill over the next year? And are you concerned? Okay, and then it was a financing concern was the next part of the question. So how many meters do you hope to drill over the next year?
This question can be answered two ways. With a better share price, you know, I would love to do as much as I can, which could be 40,000 meters of drilling in 2023. But we have to adapt to a market. So if I'm cut back, then maybe I'll do 20,000 meters of drilling. 20,000 meters of drilling is $5 million of flow through. So it's not that far off. But if you could raise $10 million at a better price, I would definitely do that to advance the project, because time is money as well. You don't want to be sitting down and doing nothing at the same time. You need to keep advancing the project and find out, do we want to buy the con mine or not? Is there 2 million ounces or not?
This is a similar question. How many drills will we have this winter, and where will each one be located?
If I had the money in the bank to do what I'd like to do, I would have probably 3 rigs on the con mine and 2 rigs at Mispikul, because it's a very short period of time. I would also have the money to build an all year round road that we've been in the permitting process this summer to be able to move the big drill to do the 2,000 meters hole. So roughly 5 rigs, 3 on the con mine or more, and 2 rigs on the North Bell to test the Campbell Shear north of the Giant Mine, and also do some Mispikul holes. That will be, and I could do this for 20, 30, or 40,000 meters of drilling.
Okay, next question. What is the arsenic and sulfur content in the mineralized zone in the con mine area?
It's extremely low, but the answer I can give you is that the flotation concentrate and the pressure oxidation result gave us approximately 4 to 5% arsenic once float or concentrated. So we took, for example, a 10 gram. So you're looking at less than 1% of arsenic, or arsenopyrite, I should say, about a couple of percent of pyrite, and a little bit of actually sphalerite. So we do have a bit of zinc in the flotation concentrate. So when we do, so far what we've announced is basically a very simple system of flow sheet. We basically crush, grind, float, just the rougher. We didn't even need to use a cleaner. And then we got a flotation concentrate that recovered 98% of the gold, of course, the arsenic and the sulfide. And our sulfide concentrate was approximately 8% and roughly 4% arsenic.
Okay, thank you. Last news release, Gerald mentioned a possibility of shipping concentrates from the mine to a processor south, and I presume east. It's the first time he has mentioned that possibility. Please elaborate.
First of all, I've never said where I'm going to be sending the concentrate. Whatever, it's east, west, or north. And this is very too early to talk about selling the concentrate and talking to people who buys concentrate. So this question is kind of like irrelevant for the time being, because when you go, if you decide to go the route of selling a concentrate, you will need to know exactly what's in your concentrate, all the penalty elements, and you may decide to never do that because it may not be economic to sell it. And it's probably better to do a pressure oxidation system like NERCO put on the con mine 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, I should say. So selling a concentrate is just an option. It's a trade-off study that you do in the feasibility study to see what is the most economic way to do it. It's one of them is less capital intensive because you don't have to build the pressure oxidation, but you lose on the value of your concentrate when you sell it, depending on what the bids are. And the bids can come from Glencore, they can come from Ocean Partner, they can come from many different people that buy concentrate to ship to their smelters.
Okay,
So
thank
that
you.
route is not a route that means that it's very economic. It depends on the metal cost, the penalty, and a lot more work to be able to say, oh, this smelter will take it even. So I hope you understand that we're not there to talk about to anybody until we're ready.
Okay. This question is about 60 North's deposit north of Yellowknife at the Mon Gold site. They reported indicators of Olympic Dam size deposit. Does this have any impact on what Gold Terra is doing?
I went through that press release, actually. It's a very interesting potential discovery. There's no question. You know, Olympic Dam is one of the most largest deposit in the world. I don't know if yeah, you could have a signature, but Olympic Dam, there's no other Olympic Dam in the world. So before you can claim you have one similarity, it's a long way. The affinity could be there, but the size of deposit may not be there. So you're going to be careful about going too far in the interpretation of the company that makes this claim. You know, I'm not, you know, we're in Yellowknife. I talk about the Campbell Shear. We have an amazing belt because we control 800 square kilometers, and you can see very well on this map that actually what they're talking about is the indent on the Quito Belt property of the North 60 property, where the Mon mine is and maybe some association. But look, you can always draw comparable, but sometimes if it's too early, it could hurt you. And I'm happy if they found something interesting. I wish you the best of luck to find something big. We have all the property surrounding it. Maybe it's going to benefit us. So please, I wish you the best of luck to define an Olympic Dam next door. It can be big if it is the case.
And that was our last question. So Kerry, I invite you back on.
Well, sure thing. Gerald, really interesting presentation and really puts this project into perspective. I mean, look, let's face it, if this was any kind of a rational market, Gold Terra wouldn't be selling for $10 per ounce in the ground. But obviously, because of that, there's an opportunity here. And I would just suggest that everybody go over to goldterracorp.com, sign up for notifications if you haven't done it already. The ticker symbol is YGTFF on the OTC, on the TSX, YGT. You can expect a replay link to come within several hours. So if you missed part of it or you want to watch it again, by all means. And if you got any questions, just reply to that email. We will get you an answer. Again, Gerald, thank you for this presentation. We appreciate the fact that you put your money where your mouth is. You've invested in the company, and just on the force of your will alone, we're expecting great things. So that's it for the webcast. And again, thank you for attending, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much, everyone.